a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad. You'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
Hey, all you beautiful movie-loving people out there, live from a red carpet somewhere, surrounded by celebrities. This is the Movies Merica podcast with Van Ebert, where movie reviews meet cold brews. Van will review your favorite and maybe not so favorite movies while enjoying some ice-cold beers and saying cheers. Now let's head into the theater and join our illustrious movie reviewer du jour, who's no doubt got the beer ready to pour, Van Ebert. Gotham deserves a better movie reviewer. But what happens when good reviewers do nothing? Well, this reviewer is not going to do nothing. This is Van Ebert. Welcome to Movies Merica. And what I'm going to do is, since we've got a few slow movie weeks here, we're going to jump into Doc Brown's DeLorean, and we're going to go back into the movie past here, okay? So since we've got The Batman as the hot new movie right now, and we've got a few sleepy weeks of movie releases out here that not really anybody's going to have a whole lot of interest in hearing a movie review about, I would guess. I wanted to go back and revisit one of my favorite trilogies, which is Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Just seems topical since, again, The Batman is the hot new movie right now. And so for the next 3 weeks, I am going to go through Nolan's epic Dark Knight trilogy, of course starring Christian Bale as Batman. And so the first movie on the docket, of course, is 2005's Batman Begins.
Tell us, Mr. Wayne. What do you fear?
How do you know my name?
The world is too small for someone like Bruce Wayne to disappear.
Your parents' death was not your fault.
My parents deserve justice. I cannot let that pass.
If you make yourself more than just a man, then you become something else entirely.
Which is?
A legend, Mr. Wayne.
Master Wayne, are you coming back for long, sir?
As long as it takes to show the people of Gotham their city doesn't belong to the criminals and the corrupt.
Bruce?
Rachel?
You were gone a long time.
I know.
Things are worse than ever down here. What chance does Gotham have when the good people do nothing?
Nomex survival suit for advanced infantry. Kevlar utility harness, gas-powered magnetic grapple gun.
What's that?
Oh, the tumbler? Oh, you wouldn't be interested in that.
I spent a lot of time being scared for you. When I heard you were back, but the man I loved, the man who vanished, never came back.
He's here. Who? The Batman.
Gotham must be destroyed.
Gotham isn't beyond saving.
Just hold on. Rachel!
Guy dresses up like a bat clearly has issues.
And that's where it all started. Yep. That's where Christopher Nolan took the helm of Batman in 2005. But before we get too far into the Batcave, let's go ahead and let you know here, of course, that we've got this podcast, this Movies Merica podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other platforms. If you happen to find yourself on Apple Podcasts listening to this here, please, hey, without sounding too pathetic, I beg you, please give it a 5-star rating and give it a review. You just have to scroll down to the very bottom of all my episodes there and just give it a quick 5-star rating. Give it a nice little review if you want to just put on there, hey, this is fantastic. Matter of fact, it's batastic. Or you can just say, hey, it's a batastrophe, if you hate it. And also, feel free to follow the podcast there on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts as well, because then you'll get the episodes, I believe, downloaded automatically, and you'll get notified when a new episode is out there into the world. Also, this podcast is available on moviesmerica.com, and I'm also on Twitter and Instagram here as far as the socials. I'm out there under Movies Merica, of course. And I'm out there just because, every once in a while I feel like posting something movie-related, like I feel like the whole world needs to know what I think about, the latest movies. I don't know why. But since I'm out there, if you want to message me here, you can get my DMs, and you can also tell me there how terrific or terrible I am. So definitely. And so, as you see today here, I'm going to review old movies, but I also obviously review new movies. But every once in a while, when things get a little slow on the movie release front, we do the old movies as well. And also, I typically drink a beer, as anybody who's listened to an episode knows. Along with when I'm reviewing movies here on the podcast, I like to keep myself hydrated with a beer because I like to combine my love of beer with my love of movies. But I'm going to forego the beer here for another few episodes just because I'm doing this fitness program called 75 Hard, and one of the rules is no booze for 75 days. And I know, it's tough. It's tough. I've got the toughest plate of anybody in the world. I know. But so that's why you won't hear me crack and open a tall, cool one here on this episode. But anyway, enough about my troubles. Let's get right in to Batman Begins. All right. Yeah. So, I have to admit, when this movie came out, I was not psyched about it at all. We had Batman and Robin had come out, and that was a colossal bust. Not only did it really put a stake in the heart of the Batman franchise, it really put a stake in the heart of the comic book movie franchise. I mean, comic book movies were persona non grata. Like, Hollywood studios did not want to touch them, just thanks to George Clooney's nipples on his batsuit. So, and everything else that was wrong with that Batman and Robin movie. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, and got Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and God, that movie sucked. And and at that time, like, Batman in movies had been done to death. We had Tim Burton's two Batman movies. We had Joel Schumacher's two Batman movies, and we had other Batman movies before that. And I was like, well, why don't we just let this Batman thing breathe a little bit? Like opening up a bottle of fine wine, just let that sucker breathe a little bit. Give it maybe a decade, and and then revisit Batman. But of course, Batman is one of Warner Brothers' premier and most lucrative IPs, and so they're not going to sleep on Batman for too long. They're not going to let that Batman bear hibernate in the cave too long. Money to be made, shareholders to make happy. So yeah, when this came out, I was like, oh God, another Batman franchise. My excitement level was like minus 13. And so when this movie came out, and when I first saw it, and it was probably like half an hour into the movie, maybe not even that long, and it got into like the Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard score came on, and just it gave it that seriousness, that the movie just immediately gives you that real world grounded feeling to it. It's this whole environment, the whole vista of the whole movie is just embedded deep in the realms of realism. When they show Bruce, he's at the the Tibetan prison or wherever it's at, somewhere in Asia, and he's fighting with the other prisoners there, and it's getting some muddy, craggly, just cold, harsh environment, where they're having this fight, and he's in jail, and he's just out there in the learning the ways of the criminal underworld. And I'm like, dude, this is not what I expected, and in a very, very good way. I was like, you have never been so wrong in your life, man. It's like, yeah, if I would have known this Batman movie was going to be this good, I would have thought, like, okay, come out with it like a few years earlier, because Batman and Robin came out in like 97, and this didn't come out until 2005. But yeah, it drew me right in. And I think it's because they got Christopher Nolan to direct the movie, because Christopher Nolan is definitely not Joel Schumacher. Christopher Nolan he's more of a serious director. I mean, there's Joel Schumacher does, he did, serious movies, rest in peace, Joel Schumacher. He's no longer with us, but I mean, he did serious movies. I mean, he did Phone Booth with Colin Farrell, and the Number 23 with Jim Carrey. Obviously, Lost Boys and Flatliners. But yeah, but when he came to his take on the Batman franchise, he got way too goofy and over the top with Batman and Robin, and so Christopher Nolan is the total opposite side of the spectrum from that. You saw that with Memento. That was like his big, his independent movie that put him into the spotlight of the studios. And then the studio was like, yeah, let's try this guy out. Let's give him a test drive on a major studio movie. So Warner Brothers let him direct Insomnia, which starred 3 Oscar winners, no less, and Christopher Nolan. That was his first big studio movie, and he had to play director to Al Pacino, Robin Williams, Hilary Swank, 3 Oscar winners, and he handled it. I mean, Insomnia got great reviews, made decent bank, and Christopher Nolan, got the call from Warner Brothers. Said, hey, you know what, we're talking about bringing the Batman franchise back out of the Batcave, and we'd like to hear what you have to say about it. And him and I believe David Goyer, I think they went to Warner Brothers Studio and gave them their premise, their idea of what they would want to do with the Batman franchise, and Warner Brothers, they took to it. It sounded great to them, obviously, and so they got Christopher Nolan to do their first installment of their next Batman, set of movies there, and then they went on to get Christian Bale as Batman. They were, as far as like the actors that they were auditioning for the Batman, I mean, they had names like, they had Cillian Murphy, who plays Scarecrow in this movie. He auditioned for it. Then there was Ian Bailey or Ion Bailey. I always forget how to pronounce his name, but Ian Bailey or Ion Bailey. He's not many people know who he is. If you ever saw Fight Club, he was the first guy to come up to Brad Pitt and Edward Norton's house to become a member of Operation Mayhem. Because remember how they came up to the steps of the house, and Brad Pitt would go out there and he would berate him like, "You're no good. You're not good enough to beat Operation Mayhem. Get out of here. I'm going to call the cops if you don't leave. You're not good enough. You're not the kind of guy we're looking for." Like, no offense, So he was doing, Brad Pitt was doing that, in front of the house. Well, Ion Bailey was the first schmo to show up and try to join Operation Mayhem. He was also in Band of Brothers as well. Well, he was one that auditioned. I think Henry Cavill, who obviously later on went on to become Superman, I think that either he auditioned or they wanted him to audition, but he was up for the part, and other folks out there that were up there for the role. I think even Heath Ledger was considered, who obviously went on to become the Joker in The Dark Knight. But this movie, like I said, getting back to my reaction to it when the first time I saw it, and then even further into the movie, like as the movie went on and on, I was like just my eyes were popping out of my head even more and more. Like I was just amazed and mesmerized by how good this movie was, and just how kick-ass it was. I mean, it was incredible. I liked, how. I mean, I like fantastical movies, with the movies of comic book kind of feel, where it's bigger than life. It's not realistic at all. There's a time and place for those movies, but this was a fresh take on Batman that hadn't been done before, and we're seeing it, now more than ever with the Batman movie. And so Christian Bale's portrayal of Batman, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about that, but yeah, I mean, it's, he does a fantastic job. He brings that kind of slyness that he had in American Psycho, which is obviously a completely different type of character than Bruce Wayne / Batman. But he's kind of got that sly wit about him as Bruce Wayne, especially when he's faking the, Bruce Wayne being the billionaire playboy, struts around with supermodels and, drives, sports cars and that kind of thing around. He's really sly when he does that, but also he brings gravitas and strength. When he's the serious, the real, Bruce Wayne. That's basically making himself Batman, and yeah, he does a fantastic job. As that, I was pleasantly surprised, but yeah, it's. And I'd only seen him as Americans, in the movie American Psycho, but that to me gave him some gravitas, for this part. And he's the perfect age. He bulked himself up for the part. He had done the movie The Machinist not long before this, where he got like down to anorexic weight, for that. He's kind of like Robert De Niro, where he just does all these body changes and that kind of thing. And so he had to bulk up. I guess he had to bust out the creatine and the protein powder to get bulked up for this movie, and he definitely did. And he did a fantastic job. Other, folks in this movie that did a great job is Michael Caine as Alfred. I mean, Alfred, Michael Caine as Alfred had some great lines. I mean, I like the part where after Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows, they burn down Wayne Manor, and Wayne Manor is burning down all over Bruce Wayne, and a big beam from the ceiling falls on Bruce, and they leave him for dead. And then Michael Caine comes there, he's Mr. Wayne, coming in there and trying to help them get the big beam off of Bruce Wayne so he doesn't die in a burning house. And Michael Caine's not having a whole lot of luck, because the guy's like in his 70s. He's not having a whole lot lifting this heavy beam off of Bruce Wayne there, and you can see Bruce Wayne trying to lift up the beam to help him out, and Christian Bale's not having not having a whole lot of luck with it too, and then. Alfred just throws all down. What's the point of all those push-ups if you can't even lift up a bloody log? It's like, I thought it was a great motivational line there. And now one thing about that whole scene where Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows, burns down Wayne Manor. One part of that is something that Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul says to Bruce that never really made any sense to me and still doesn't, is as Ra's al Ghul's leaving Bruce Wayne for dead, he says, "You burned my house and left me for dead. Consider us even." I'm like, wait, what? Like way earlier in the movie, Bruce Wayne saved your life, dude. Okay, you were sliding down an icy ravine, only to fall to your death off a cliff. And my man, Bruce Wayne, saved your butt, okay? You'd be buzzard meat if it wasn't for him. And then he saved you and left you with a nice Tibetan family to help you recover. So what's this left me for dead crap? So I just never got that. Like, okay, and Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson was Ra's al Ghul. They definitely portray him as a smart guy. So I don't know why he said that. Maybe, hey, leave me a message, on Twitter and Instagram, DM me with, hey, maybe I'm missing something. I don't know why he said that, but since I mentioned Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, other than that line, I thought Liam Neeson was pretty slick as Ra's al Ghul. Well, of course we don't find out he's Ra's al Ghul till later on in the movie. That's a twist I did not see coming, I have to admit. But you first meet Liam Neeson's character as Henry Ducard, where he meets Bruce Wayne in the Tibetan prison. And he gives him, it's like you could be more than just a man. Like, which is a legend, Mr. Wayne. That was a great intro. And then he plays like a surrogate father to Bruce as he welcomes him into the League of Shadows and trains him in all kinds of martial arts and with the ways of deception and explosives and theatricality, which obviously Bruce turns into the Batman suit. So Liam Neeson does a fantastic job in a very slick way, very kick-ass way as Henry Ducard / Ra's al Ghul. And this is like a few years before he was in the movie Taken, and he relaunched his career as an action hero. Also, I got to give a shout out to Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. He was a invaluable ally to Bruce Wayne in this. I have to say that applied sciences building that Lucius Fox works in, I thought that just the size of it when they go down there and Lucius Fox is showing him the tumbler and all the gadgets. And I thought that applied sciences building was pretty cool. I'm like, here's this IKEA-sized building full of tech for Bruce Wayne to use. I was like, damn. It's like, wow, that's a whole lot of room for a whole lot of gadgets for the Cape Crusader to take advantage of in this movie. And I just liked the chemistry between Lucius Fox, Morgan Freeman's Lucius Fox, and that. So, Rachel Dawes or Katie Holmes, I should say, as Rachel Dawes was great in this movie. She a lot of people were like, they didn't like Katie Holmes in this movie. I'm not one of those. I thought she did perfectly fine. I mean, she did a great job, and she's got one of her great lines is like, it's not what we are underneath, but it's what we do that defines us, and that serves to be a really powerful moment later on. That's like that line is the basis of a very powerful moment later on.
I told you he'd come. Wait. You could die. At least tell me your name.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
Man, that gave me chills. I thought it was like one of the great screenplay moments, from I think Christopher Nolan. I think his brother Jonathan Nolan got involved with the screenplay, and then maybe David Goyer was part of the screenplay as well. But yeah, they knocked a lot of the screenplay right out of the park, and that was a great line right there. Speaking of Rachel Dawes, I thought it was kind of a jerk move from Bruce, to not call her up, like, at least not long after he got back into Gotham. It's like, but then he just runs into her, at some hotel or some restaurant. He's walking out with a couple of leggy Euro models, and he's soaking wet, and she just kind of runs into him. It's like, okay, yeah, I thought we were childhood friends. You were gone a long time. I thought we were tight. Hey, bro, you're not going to call me up? So that's kind of a jerk move. Come on. Hey, like she said, childhood friends and all that, But yeah, that's just a little thing that occurred to me. So you heard a little bit of the music there in that clip, and then also in the trailer that I played there. That soundtrack is by Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard, and it's just fantastic. That again, the soundtrack was one of the things that really just nailed it into my head. Like, this is a different kind of movie. This is a serious movie that's going to have some edge and some coolness that the other Batman movies that we've seen so far haven't had in there. It was just that Hans Zimmer, that powerful baritone, kind of like right in your face Hans Zimmer score. Then James Newton did most, if not all, of like the slower, the quieter, the music for some of the slower, quieter scenes there. And James Newton Howard is a great composer in his own right as well. He's done the soundtracks for several movies that you know. He did the most prominent one I can think of was like The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. That was a great soundtrack James Newton Howard did. But yeah, I play the soundtrack on my all the time. I listen to it in my car all the time on my earbuds. Like it's just a great motivational soundtrack, very powerful. I love it. And some interesting, not very important trivia is that all the tracks on the Batman Begins original motion picture soundtrack, all the tracks are named after types of bats. And tracks 4 through 9, the beginning letter on each of the tracks 4 through 9 spell out Batman. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like, they had to go out there and find the names of 6 different types of bats to spell out the word Batman in tracks 4 through 9 on the soundtrack there. So, but yeah, this movie, it's just it had great action scenes in it as well. They didn't invest as much money into this, into Batman Begins as they did into the next 2 Dark Knight Trilogy movies that I'll be reviewing here in the next couple of weeks. But they didn't, they threw more than a nickel at it. And like with the car chase scene, with the tumbler, that I thought it was a very, very well choreographed, very well edited scene. I mean, and the tumbler. What can you say about the tumbler? I mean, for me, the tumbler is the best Batmobile out there. I mean, all the other ones, are fine. They kind of got that slick, kind of comic book, Hollywood theatrical look to them. But this one, I thought this Batman is the perfect Batmobile, or this Batmobile is a perfect Batmobile for this world, for this Christopher Nolan Batman world. It's practical, it's massive. It's like this tank that, as it's proven, it's needed to just slam bang your way through a lot of situations. Like the rooftop chase, and it just bangs into all kinds of stuff, and it has plenty of space to accommodate a lot of weaponry and cool enhancements and capabilities in there. I think it drops like the spiked balls, there to flatten tires and that kind of thing. I thought his ability to summon bats. This has nothing to do with the Batmobile, but his ability to summon bats, with that device that he's got on his belt, or he's got that kind of remote control for it. That I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously, it came in pretty handy when he's got cops chasing him here, and he could summon bats from the Batcave as his armada of bats. Just cool ideas like that, and that might have come right out of the comic books. I have to admit, I didn't read the Batman comic. I didn't read comic books barely at all as a kid, so I admit it might have come from one of the comic books. But yeah, this movie is. I can't believe anybody hasn't seen this movie. But if you haven't seen this movie, check it out. If you're one of those ones like, I hate Batman, I'm a Spider-Man guy, or I hate Batman, I'm a Superman guy, check out this movie. I mean, it's cool. It's kind of like a ninja action police drama movie, that happens to star a superhero. It is so cool. But I'm going to wrap it up with that. And so next week, get ready for The Dark Knight to be reviewed by yours truly. And yeah, thanks a lot for joining me here on this week's episode of Movies Merica. And again, check me out on Twitter and Instagram under Movies Merica. And hey, everyone, get out there. Those movies aren't going to watch for themselves. Later.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got a popo. They're coming after me. And I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just what. is waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here, too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'm going to be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right. Thanks for watching.